child, not a criminal, but he had no other choice. With a heavy sigh, he took the designated stick and handed it to the soldier. The others moved away from him at once. No one wanted to get their hands dirty with the boy's blood. "Sir," the soldier pleaded, "please, sir." "That's an order, soldier," the officer snapped. "Or are you looking to disobey His Imperial Majesty's decree?" The soldier immediately stood at attention and saluted. "Sir, no, sir," he shouted and grabbed the stick. The officer sighed and turned away. He looked up at the sky, at the thousands of flying boats, rafts, as well as commercial and private skyships. If the ground was guarded by garrisons and stone walls, the sky was protected by the Imperial Sky Fleet that had surrounded the city. These vessels also transported the most important and prominent guests. "Such is the law," he repeated to himself, hoping to soothe his conscience and take his mind off the depressing events that were about to take place. He didn't understand what the boy was even guilty of. Many came here because they wanted to become real warriors. Hell, he himself had been a simple practitioner not too long ago, but a war was coming, and so was the end of their peaceful, ordinary lives. After the war games that had ended a few months ago, the generals and the emperor had realized that relying on just the disciples of martial arts schools wouldn't be enough to strengthen the army. That's when they'd decided to think on a larger scale. All sorts of alchemical pills had been given to the general population in hopes of boosting their cultivation enough for them to join the army. As a result, the country had received an influx of tens of thousands of spirit knights and hundreds of thousands of heaven soldiers. Although, if the officer were honest with himself, he felt like Darnassus had gained a horde of lemmings and not a bunch of powerful warriors with that move. He glanced sideways at the soldier, a spirit knight at the initial stage. He, like hundreds of his comrades, had been granted the Fire Rooster spirit. Because of this, they'd never be able to break through to the middle stage. They'd all sold their true fates and their ability to grow stronger for the Fire Rooster pill, which was a terrible concoction. By ingesting this kind of pill, a heaven soldier would instantly awaken a spirit and advance to the spirit knight level, but their spirit wouldn't be unique. All those who'd gained power through the use of that pill had the same exact spirit. "Sorry, kid," the soldier whispered. "I'm just following orders." The officer turned away. He didn't want to see the boy turn into a bloody mess. The soldier, who'd only become a spirit knight recently, couldn't control his power yet. Even if he wanted to, he wouldn't be able to spare the boy. However, no screams came, only utter silence. The officer turned around and drew his broadsword. A tall man stepped forward out of the queue. It was impossible to see his face or insignia, as his body was hidden by a robe, and his face by a wide-brimmed hood, which was so long that it almost touched his chin, completely covering his face. The soldier was now lying on the ground and fighting for air. The man's willpower was holding him down. The officer reached for his signal amulet and froze in place. "The boy's with me," the hooded man said. Several imperial coins landed at the officer's feet with a melodic clatter. It was a far larger sum than what it normally took to get into the capital. The man, with the frightened boy clinging to his leg, passed through the archway undisturbed. As the officer watched this monster go, he wondered how strong the man had to be in order to bind a spirit knight with his will alone. One of the beasts just like him would claim victory in the Tournament of the 12. Ordinary cultivators simply couldn't compare. "Move!" the officer shouted. "Get back to work, all of you! You can't come in without paying the entrance fee." The queue started moving.